Hey, what's up? Good afternoon. I'm here with Jake DeMarco. And I'm not hungover, but I feel like I'm hungover. I don't know what it is. I feel tired, but I'm waking up slowly. Make sure you guys check out the new t-shirts, Pit of Spikes. Don't put me in a pit of spikes, please, Ryback. Put my head in a friggin' pit of spikes. There it is. And the new one, Here's My Apology. Those t-shirts are available now on the Teespring link down below, underneath in the description box. They're also available on my website, joecroninshow.net. And thanks to all the new patrons for supporting on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. What's up? I'm here with Jake DeMarco. We're going to talk about all the weird news today. There's actually
a lot of odd news. Nothing, no like major earth-shattering story, but a lot of little things that could lead to big dealings in the future.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that there's like these little stories, these stupid little stories. But you know what? I'll take it because last week the wrestling news was terrible. Like there was I felt there was like nothing really to talk about.
Yeah, last week was quite the drought in terms of wrestling news, especially over the weekend. There was just nothing. And, unfortunately, people resorted to making up their own news for attention, which caused some problems in the, wrestling communities. But
oh, yeah, definitely. There's those websites that are still making up stories that are ridiculous. And, if people thought Sean's View was bad before, now there's actual sites that are being called legitimate, basically, that are making up stories, and so he's taking those stories. So good luck. Sean's View is only going to get more messed up.
And sadly, he feels vindicated because, quite a few people do, because you got people, even like LeBar, reporting false news unintentionally because it gets shared around so much that it seems true. You get sources that are fake cited as real, and, it's like right now, you could go ahead and say, I just spoke to Road Dogg, and tonight, the WWE Championship is going to change hands due to Jinder Mahal's injury.
Right.
Well, they have no way to verify that as true, but people are running with it because they were so desperate for news, and
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
And I told him this guy too. Like I've tweeted him about these people. Like but whatever, fine. Report this dumb news. The first thing I want to say is obviously the Raw review. We got messed up last night by a bunch of meatheads. So I'm working with YouTube today again, like I always have to do when this happens. So that's not going to come back up, but. One thing else,
keep Joe Cronin down. He always gets hard.
Shout out to all the patrons. That's why it's so important to become a patron. Like if you really love the show, that's the place you really got to go. Is patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show, and of course Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Joe Cronin JCS. Make sure you're on my Twitch as well, and make sure you subscribe to the Corrupted podcast. We may have to be going live from the Corrupted YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/corrupted, I think it is, or youtube.com/corrupted podcast. One of those two, I don't know.
I think it's Corrupted Podcast.
All right.
I'll verify before the end.
It's got over 1,000 subs on it, so just be over there and we'll be all right. I'll let you guys know over here when I'm going live on those places. So I want to talk about Lesnar real quick. The Lesnar the bitch thing, because a lot of people talked about this. Roman Reigns dropping the S-bomb or whatever. It just seems so out of place and goofy for him to do these things. And like we said, Lesnar's a megastar. The Rock is like a megastar. Stone Cold, these guys are all legends. Vince McMahon, even John Cena, But it seems it's very telling to me that they're letting Roman do it. That's how much of a crutch he needs. That's how much help he needs. They've given him almost everything. They've given him like matches that you wouldn't think he would have out of place. They've given him early title reign where I felt like he wasn't even ready for it. As a heel he could have been ready for it, but as a face it made no sense. And now this is just another example of them being like, here, you don't, maybe you don't deserve this, but here, have this anyway.
Absolutely. And I really found issue with the fact of Roman trying to compare John Cena and The Rock. John Cena's been there for 15 years. Even with injuries, he's forced himself to come back months ahead of schedule. He's always been the poster boy. He's been the main event attraction essentially for those better part of the 15 years, pretty much his entire time in the company. He's truly dedicated. I mean, the hustle, loyalty, respect, as much as it is like a gimmick and a moniker, he follows that. He truly believes that, and that's part of his workflow. You know, he's the first one in the door, the last one to leave, and that's true. And I'm not the biggest Cena proponent by any means. But, you know, how many times do we have to gloat about him on this show? We've done it. You know, we've said that what he did with the U.S. title was great. He hasn't buried anyone in the better part of like 4 years. Every talent that he's worked with, he's elevated and has gone on to do great things. Just recently, he did the job for, you know, Nakamura. Before that, him and AJ Styles, him and Kevin Owens. You know, everybody that he's worked with has gone on to find success and win championships. You know, so yeah. they've ended up, you know, Owens went on to be the Universal Champion. AJ Styles was the WWE Champion.
You know, if I was Roman Reigns, well, I'm sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if I was Roman Reigns, I would focus on Cena with one word: jealousy. I would say, you know, I would basically build around the fact that I think John Cena was jealous of The Rock because of his success in movies and how good he is. And, you know, you're just not as good at him. You know, you're not as good at, you know, The Rock was better than you here. The Rock was a better talker than you. He was a better wrestler. He was better a movie star. And now you're jealous of me. You know what I mean? And I would build it around that, like jealousy, and I would use jealousy as...
Now that would have been an excellent way to handle the promo, because I said with JD on our mini, you know, Raw review last night, Roman lost to, basically in a sense of a promo against John Cena, who wasn't even there. He beat himself. And that's a sad truth to accept, but it is a harsh reality when you realize that Roman didn't have an angle. You know, there was no justification in what he said. His words fell flat because they weren't believable. You can't say that, oh, well, The Rock being gone for close to a decade, over 7 years, is nothing like John Cena leaving for 3 months to film a movie. Cena's there night and day, giving his all to the company. When John's there, you get a 250,000, boost in viewers, and you see a spike in ratings, and that's a proven fact. I can back that up right now with, you know, viewer reports. It's you know, and rating reports. John brings the numbers. He sells the merchandise. He does what has to be done for the betterment of the company. So Roman trying to say that, you know, he doesn't care or he's only a lackluster part-timer fell flat. It didn't resonate with the audience because it wasn't true. And the audience knew that. So him having to resort to saying bitch, shit, whore, slut, all this stuff to seem edgy is laughable. It doesn't work. It makes him look childish, immature.
Yeah, he looks goofy, like, oh, I got to say that. I got to say that, guys. And that's what it really does. It looks like that. It looks bad. It doesn't look right. It doesn't come off the right way for some reason. So, I mean, as far as the Raw review goes, you know, people want to hear the Raw review, but, you know, there really wasn't, I don't think, much to review. I thought the tag team match went way too long with Ambrose and Seth Rollins and them. How long was that match? Was that like 30 minutes?
It did go on for a long time, that's for sure. At least even if it wasn't that good, because it's sandwiched with commercial breaks too.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3. Long. There was like 2 or 3 in between it, I swear.
It really felt long. And that's unfortunate. Yeah. And even worse than that is just, you know, the way things developed throughout the night. It was very, very, very slow. You know, we had the introduction with The Miz, and then from there it just, it dragged on. It felt like a pre-taped show. Didn't feel like it was live. It had that kind of feel to it. Last night, you know?
It did feel like that. It didn't feel exciting and stuff, yeah.
Certainly didn't feel like a go-home show for a pay-per-view that's coming up Sunday. They didn't really hammer home the fact that we have a big fight coming up Sunday with No Mercy. I mean, San Jose is usually pretty decent as far as crowd reactions. They didn't give a crap about Bailey, and that says a lot. That speaks volumes for the fact that she returns and the audience doesn't give two shits. The women's match in the beginning was 6 minutes long. That's your women's title match, or non-title match. But you know that's your your turning point for all you're going to see of the women all night. That's it. 6 minutes. Bayley returning was supposed to be a nice surprise, but I don't think it was wise to have her come back this soon. It's yet again it takes away from Sasha, and just throwing her into the multi-women match. What does it do for her character? Granted, they wanted a strong reaction, so they did it in her home market, but you didn't even get the reaction you wanted.
Yeah, I'm not happy with all these women being in the match. I would have been happy with Sasha, Alexa, and Bayley. Maybe. Like, you know, maybe those 3 could have been in it.
Oh, something I wanted to address, too, that I keep forgetting. I'm surprised they didn't do a 10-bell salute for, you know...
For Heenan, yeah.
For Heenan.
No, I mean, you know what, though? Everybody was complaining all night, like, you know, that's all they're going to do, that one graphic. Then they did another graphic, and then, like, people were like, I can't... How dare they not do a, you know, a highlight reel or whatever. But then they did a highlight reel. You know?
They put out a beautiful video package, but I was just upset they didn't do what they did for the Warrior.
Yeah, I mean...
With the 10-bell salute. I mean, that should have been done. Absolutely.
Everyone was complaining about something with that. It was just funny. Like, I was like, oh, me too. I was like, oh, if they don't do a video package, that kind of stinks. And then they did one. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and it was excellent. It was heartfelt and really brought up some great points, and especially seeing him in Gorilla, that was a you know, certainly an emotional promo package. The guys that, you know, are in Stamford that put together those vignettes and video packages and whatnot, they're always top notch. The editing team, and they're always phenomenal. I'll give them credit. You know, no matter what you see, they know how to tear on your emotions and heartstrings for sure.
Yeah.
The timing of that tag match, by the way, was 19 minutes.
All right. Well, I guess it wasn't as long as I thought, but that's still pretty long for a...
Well, that's just in ring time, but then it's sandwiched between when they came out, there was a commercial break, then they had their little promo in the ring beforehand with the Bar, you know, going ahead, and Sheamus and Cesaro talking about how, you know, they're better than everybody, and, you know, you had all this go on and on and on. So by the time you had Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come out, that was like 10 minutes in already. So all in all, it was about 35 minutes.
Yeah, it did. It was too long. I knew it was like 30 minutes because I kept turning back on the TV. I was flipping back from football, which I'd never do, but I did it last night. And I was just like, this is still on? Like, oh my God, this is still on. I couldn't believe it was still on the TV. By the way, there's like an earthquake in Mexico right now. There's the Jose is off my coast. We're going to get maybe up to 60-mile-an-hour winds or so I could have problems with broadcasting next couple of days. There's that big-ass one now. Maria is going crazy.
Yeah, that's supposed to come possibly, you know, East Coast side in the next few days. People
listen to my Morning Madness shows in the morning on Patreon know that I've been talking about, you know, this Christian groups, a lot of Christians saying, like, oh, this Saturday there's like a apocalypse or the beginning of the end is this Saturday. Like, which is crazy. Which you know, this is just going to fuel their fire, but I don't think that is happening. But I do think
no. But they always say the world is ending at some point.
But I mean, I do think that it's signs of how the Earth has changed and something is up. You know, there's something going on, and I've been saying it for a while. And if you guys want to hear more about that, you can hear it on my Morning Madness show every Monday through Friday. At 6 a.m. Eastern Time U.S. It'll be uploaded in audio format so you can download it. It won't eat up your data plan. I actually didn't do one this morning because of last night's debacle, and I was just very depressed last night, and I really, even this morning, I couldn't get myself up. Me and Ken might be doing a little trash talk in a little while, and that might happen on Corrupted. So look for that on Corrupted. Make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/corruptedpodcast. Yeah, let's continue. You know, I think we nailed enough for Raw and everything else. We talked about even Heenan a little bit. I'd say let's go into these last two things. Let's save the Starcade talk. I'm going to save the Starcade talk.
That sounds good. One last thing I wanted to address from Raw that we didn't talk about. I just wanted to know your opinion of. I was curious, just in general, not even in a show standpoint. Yeah. How do you feel about Curt Hawkins in this losing streak fiasco? Well, he's on a 115-match losing streak. Do you think it's a good idea that they finally addressed it? Does it give him some sort of character that he didn't have before, or do you think it's just a wasted?
I think it keeps him going. Like, it keeps him irrelevant. Like, because he came in with the whole like face the facts. He basically half ripped off my fact gimmick, and you know, he came in face the facts, and he had the Chuck Norris type of gimmick. But I guess that was it, which was like all right, but it went nowhere. He just became a jobber. But I like now that they are addressing it, because now it gives him something to do again. But at the same time, it's like, well, if this guy's lost 115 or 50 or whatever,
115 matches now,
why is he in the WWE?
Exactly. Why have him
why is he there?
Why would he want to stay there if he was going to lose this much? I mean,
that's not even my point. My point is, why, pretending it's real, why would this guy be in the WWE still? Wouldn't WWE say,
your point.
You're not...
It's kayfabe standards.
Yeah, you're not good. Like, get out of here. You know? Like, why wouldn't they... like, imagine a guy who's like 0 for 300 at bats in baseball. His career would end.
Absolutely.
Imagine a football player a quarterback who hadn't hadn't gotten a touchdown in 17 games, or haven't, whatever. Like, just name any sport. Like, nobody's gonna make it. So it actually kind of messes it up. But you know what? It's all in good fun, and so I'll accept it. And I think it's funny. And eventually he's gonna beat somebody, probably.
And maybe it'll be a big deal at that point, a reverse form of the streak being conquered.
He'll beat Enzo is what'll happen. He'll beat Enzo.
Yeah, Enzo landed hard on his microphone last night too. You noticed, JD pointed that out as well when Braun threw him. So yeah, that was a fun little spot to see him get destroyed.
Well, I'm surprised.
And he was supposed to garner sympathy too, and the audience just cheered because Braun's such a monster.
Right. Well, Vince probably told him, like, go out there and actually hurt him.
So last night we went ahead. We'll get off of Raw. We spoke briefly about Paige. She tweeted out that she was at the Performance Center. She said, "Good day today," with a picture of her at the WWE Performance Center. And Billie Kay and Ember Moon both replied on Twitter, went ahead and saying, "Yes, go get it." They were excited to have her down there. But it was just Paige's tweet initially of her being at the Performance Center. But then WWE followed up with a report on WWE.com saying that Paige is working hard to return into the company. So now that they've reported it as well, it definitely is a true concrete detail. It's no longer just her saying something.
Yeah, it was. They've actually committed themselves to putting the message out there. So yeah, that confirmed it. Like you said, we knew like there was something going on. But now, we know that she's there. We know that it's on board. And where is she going to go? SmackDown or Raw? I don't know.
I envision her going to SmackDown just because Asuka's coming to Raw. I don't think they're going to have two, top-tier level women, essentially, in terms of drawing power. I think those keep them apart for a while. You never know. I mean, the way they book the women, they could all end up on, Saturday morning heat at some point. But
by the way,
awesome.
Real quick to everybody, JD from New York came on my Twitch stream last night. We were on a Twitch stream for like a couple hours, and he was there for a while. We were talking about a lot of things. The funniest thing about that was Bailey was so mad at him the other day because he said he was going to come on the Corrupted thing and do a whole thing with us, and then he changed his mind and said, "I'll just come on with you," and which was like, whatever. And then so Justin Bailey's like, "Hey, I'm going to go off on him on my stream or whatever." So he went on his stream and he just went insane. Like, I mean, it was hilarious. But like couple hours later, I'm like, "Hey, JD," I'm like, "Yeah, just don't go." Look at Bailey's channel.
Well, like I said, that was a bit of the problem with you two being at odds with each other, because you both have such dedicated fan bases that everybody went to blows, and now you two work things out. We were hanging out on the stream last night. We had like a mini, out of nowhere, and now that you guys are good, everyone's like, I got to start unblocking everybody again.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. But
like you said, start a petition for JD to unblock people. You got to pay us for it.
Man,
I'll make a list.
Dude, this earthquake is a 7.1.
Yeah, I'm looking up details about it now. It seems like quite the magnitude of destruction.
Yeah, it's awful.
Hopefully, as many people as possible are okay. I mean, that's terrible. Speaking of terrible,
no wonder Mexico helped us like a couple weeks ago. That Mexico helped us so much. Like, man, I'll tell you what, they're looking for help. They're going to be looking for help now from us.
Oh, absolutely.
Better help out, Trump. Sum up.
Trump's changing a lot of what he a lot of the thoughts that he campaigned on. He's going back on things that he said he wanted to accomplish in his presidency that he rallied so hard behind when he was campaigning to become the president. Now he's changed his mind, or at least his opinion's been swayed in one form or another, and people aren't too happy with him to begin with, especially on immigration and things of that nature. So
I think I think the thing is, like, I think what he says is right about some things, but he, just ending that was DACA program or whatever it is, you can't just end that program. I mean,
no, there's no way to send,
like here,
close to 1 million people out of the country who are hardworking law-abiding, registered,
and some of the
citizens that
there's
have
a lot of people
ties
that
to the
aren't.
community.
There's a lot of people that aren't, but I mean, there's there's somewhere in the middle where you can get rid of the people that really are bad and keep the people who aren't, who are just normal.
Exactly. You don't want to send away college students. You don't want to send away people that are law-abiding citizens that have families here and ties to the community, that are hardworking, that are loyal and dedicated and aren't a threat to anyone.
And that's the thing is, like, I get what he was doing made sense in a way. Like, yes, we should do that. We should get rid of people that are using us the wrong way and are illegal and stuff. But like we shouldn't get rid of like people that, like you said, are honest and like they get caught in this. Even if they did sort of get here through whatever, I mean, I don't know. It's somewhere in again, the truth is in the middle. It's not just get rid of that whole program, and it's not keep that program either. It's
exactly. It's a big gray area, and that's the problem. People are so fanatic. They want one or the other. It can't be all right or all left. There has to be an equal ground. A neutral middle to play on, because. I originally thought that there should be a fine line, like you said, to have the people you want to stay, but then just don't allow immigration into the country to be so open and fruitful, so endless.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely a very, very touchy, difficult subject, but we'll have to do a little political update at some point on one of your shows. Maybe we'll bring back one of your news programs, like Shame on News or something.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I talked to the people on Patreon the other day, and I asked them what they wanted, and I'm thinking about, well, Shame on News is still around, so I might just start getting back up on that.
Yeah, so, I'm just saying we haven't.
So if you guys like if you guys like those political talks and things like that, hit me up on Shame on News. It's youtube.com, and just look up Shame on News and subscribe to that. But I'm going to be bringing, I think, Final Frontier News to Patreon, and something else. I think Hate Man was coming, so Hate Man and Final Frontier News.
No.
Coming to Patreon.
That was my favorite.
Plus a new wrestling show that I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, but
yeah, sounds interesting. Definitely want to tease that to the fans. If that goes through and comes to fruition, that is going to be amazing. So, one of the other things I want to bring up to you is again, low attendance records for Monday Night Raw. Multiple sections were curtained off last night. They actually had to move fans around in the arena.
Where the hell did they move them from?
For this week's, they moved them to the non-hard camera side.
Yeah, to the TV side. Wow.
Yeah, to the TV side. So they got everybody that was sitting on the hard side to the TV side because there was too many empty seats. And, it started off with one tweet from a guy named Alex C. He said, "Full house, ? Almost." And you see all the sections taped off. And WWE had major issues filling arenas for years, but the problem seems to be getting worse every week, says Sportskeeda and Wrestling Zone and Wrestling News. So they had 7 sections curtained off by the picture here that I see. The entire top section, you just see a lot of empty spots throughout the arena too. So
that's crazy.
Is it an issue with just it not being affordable, or is it just a lack of interest? I mean,
it's interest, because people will pay for things. Like,
I really
in the
think
end,
they will.
And like WWE doesn't come around often. So if you see WWE, it's all of it. I mean, it is affordability too, but it's also like it's interest versus cost. It's like, someone's casually watching it once in a while. Maybe they'll go to one show to curiosity, and they'll go and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a lot different in real life. It's kind of weird. There's no commentary, the other stuff." But I mean, when you go to WWE Live, it's usually better a lot of times than watching Raw. Right now, it has been. But a lot of people, I think, just will be like, I'm not going to do that again, really. I don't really want to do that again. But in the Attitude Era, it's like people are craving to go to this. Like, anything, you absolutely got to be there. There's no feeling like that. Even in the 2006s, 2006, 7, 8, there was still a feeling of like, oh, yeah, WWE's in town, let's go. Now it's kind of just like, oh, I'm embarrassed. Who are you going to go see? Braun Strowman, maybe. Some kids want to see Roman.
Maybe Roman. You get to see, and sadly, I had went ahead and somebody had sent me an old clip on Twitter from right before Backlash in 2000 after WrestleMania, where Triple H was siding with Vince McMahon and the McMahon-Helmsley regime. So Linda came out and announced that Stone Cold was going to be returning to be in The Rock's corner at the Backlash pay-per-view. And we hadn't seen Austin in, almost a year at that point in time. Well, actually, about 9 months, close to around Survivor Series time. And the reaction from the crowd was as if, you know, Jesus was resurrected before their eyes and they found out Harry Potter was real. You know, they literally lost their minds just at the mentioning of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He wasn't even there. The glass did not shatter. Just for her to say the S in his name, people were erupting in their seats. And we don't have that kind of, you know, main caliber star nowadays. Even Cena doesn't get anywhere near that kind of reaction, not even a tenth of that. And unfortunately, like you said, interest, you know, is just pummeled at this point in time. So
yeah, it's so bad. You're craving these other people to come in and stuff like that, and that just is a distraction. Goldberg's coming in. Oh yeah, cool. The Rock's coming. Someone's coming in. You know, you're excited, like, cool, they're coming in. Brock's here tonight. Oh wow, Brock's here, I guess. But Brock isn't even helping now, because now even Brock is being used, believe it or not, too much. Like, not too much. Like, I think he should be there all the time, but he's being so frequent now, a little more frequent. The people are getting used to that even, and it's just like, well, Brock Lesnar, whatever. And you know, it's very lackluster, I think, is the word, and that's what drags it down. And that's where you see people going to UFC, especially guys, like males in their like 20s. You know, they're going, you know what, I'm gonna go watch UFC. And many of my other friends think I'm a loser for watching wrestling, so they eventually phase out of it. They go into football, they go into UFC, they kind of stop watching. There's always that point of, like, from, I want to say, like 16, 17, 18, 19 to 20, 21, 22, where like a lot of wrestling fans fall off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we'll look back at the last month. What exciting cliffhanging edge do you have that you would go and want to show somebody? Can you think of anything off the top of your head without really scratching and having to, you know, him and haw over it, without being left to ponder for an hour? What can you think of that's been really noteworthy in the past month that you would want to share with somebody? Possibly the Roman Reigns John Cena promo, kind of, or Kevin Owens interaction with Vince McMahon, and that's your top level, like, you know, main event caliber marquee, you know, interest at this point. It's not doing it for anybody. You know, there's no edge to it. There's no real drive, and that's unfortunate, because, you know, as we were talking about last night, the variation and depth they have to this roster is bar none comparable to what they've had for decades at this point. I think they have, you know, some of the most talented individuals hired at that company at this point, and they just need to build them better. You had Kevin Owens headbutting Vince McMahon, who's you know, closer to 80 than anything. Even Edge, one of the things I was going to bring up, you know, the Rated R Superstar thinks Kevin Owens is on the cusp of even more greatness, that he could become the next top true star of the company. The quote from Edge here says, they built it throughout the show, which was great, talking about everything that happened with the Sin City SmackDown episode. Seems they're pulling the trigger on Owens properly now that he hasn't had almost every title in the company already, but he's basically been champion the entire time he's been there. This is a next level kind of thing. I'm assuming he's main eventing the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view with Shane now. If anyone is the master of making sure people are put over in matches, it's Shane. And Edge feels that this feud with Shane and Vince is going to leapfrog him to become a true anti-hero like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know if the prize fighter role for him is going to bring him as much glory as they're hoping for.
He needed to do more. He really needed to do more. I believed, if I was writing this, or if I was involved in the ideas of this, I would say, you know, Vince, him headbutting you and you falling over and then bleeding and maybe stomping on you a couple times or whatever he did. Like, I really believed, and I think they did a pretty good job, but I think we need to see something that we've never sort of seen before, and we have seen it, so it's weird, but I would have really thought it would have been better if he had headbutted him, Vince was bleeding, and, you know, Owens, like, got on top of him and just started pounding on him. You know what I mean? And, like, really it kind of got sick, you know, almost, and it kind of got scary. I mean, like, you know, that's what they needed to do. They needed to make it seem scary.
Yeah, he should have crossed the line and really made it seem like he was a true threat to Vince. I mean, they tried to do that with him bleeding, and I guess Vince had bladed earlier, and as you reported, you know, previously, he just covered it with new skin, you know, like the liquid Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And the blood was a nice touch, but it just wasn't enough. Like you said, he had to become a little bit more vitriolic. He had to be a little bit more insane.
And that would have been awesome, like choking Vince with his shirt maybe and punching him. Like, you know, I guess you can't choke, right? Because Daniel Bryan almost got fired for that, or did get fired for that. But, you know, whatever, just pounding on him and just not letting people in the ring maybe. Like, he's got a steel chair, and he's bashing, you know, Vince with a chair. It would have even been, you know, I don't know. That would have been really good, like, if he'd beat him up with a chair a little bit, you know, done, like, and maybe if he, you know, to be honest, you know, threatened people with the chair, whacked a couple referees off the side or whatever, and then putting the chair on his ankle and maybe jumping off the top rope and smashing Vince's ankle. You know?
Ooh, that would have been
that old ankle deal. That always kind of works after a while. Like, oh my God, you know, it's been a while since we've seen that. You know, and to do it to Vince after he's bleeding already, like, I think really that's where they missed the mark with the story there. They needed to make it more believable. Even these casual fans that don't whatever, they've seen highlights already of, like, all these terrible things that have been done to Vince and other people. So even a lot of these casuals, it's not like they've seen this stuff before, but better. And it's almost like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this now. I've seen that happen before. Like, it's like, that's terrible. That is not what you want. You want people to go, oh my God, is this supposed to go this far?
Yeah, you want to make it seem as if, you know, the line between fiction and reality is blurred. You know, there's been a few times that we said, oh, is this true? Is this, you know, legitimate, or is this a work? And you're not sure. Like when The Miz and Daniel Bryan went off on each other, that was a moment that we weren't sure if it was real, you know, if it was stemmed in reality, or if it was just purely scripted. That's certainly something they needed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm pretty much done with everything I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about we're gonna talk about Starrcade in the bonus video. That'll be available on Patreon, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Go over to the Patreon, guys, and you know, for like I said, you can get the Corrupted podcast over there, which is every week. But you also get every morning madness every morning, except for when I don't do it, like yesterday. So about 8 hours of bonus content plus live videos, Q&As, all that stuff we do. And so as long as you're a patron over there, you guys will see my Starrcade video. We're going to talk a little bit about Starrcade, and there's a bunch of stuff we'll get into. Anything else you wanted to mention, though, Jake, here?
I know at some point, you know, soon we'll have we'll talk about the betting odds and preview and predictions for No Mercy. The only other thing I was going to bring up that we were going to say was that AJ Styles, you know, he was really happy with his theme at first, and he said that he's been a lifelong fan of rap music, so he was really excited with his phenomenal, you know, theme, and that was a cool little interview to listen to him talking about the song. And
I reported that interview. Did he change his mind?
He said that when he first heard it, it wasn't like oh, change this, change that. It was one of those things where he heard the song and he was like, done, that's it, perfect. Oh, okay. And yeah.
Yeah, dude, you know what? I did a video on that like a while back. Yep. It's an old interview, I think.
Exactly, but now he put out a video with the WWE.com, really? And they talk about, you know, him and CFO and all this things. No, it was just a cool little.
It's good you brought it up because a lot of people don't hear every video at all. So this is probably half the people don't even know.
Yeah,
he likes his theme. Damn it! People are still saying that he didn't. Oh, he probably, you know, they forced him to have that theme.
No, he went nuts for it. So, and also that Dolph Ziggler's set to take on Booby Rude. You know, you saw it mentioned with Starrcade, but I guess the plans are for him to build a feud with him on SmackDown. So
that wouldn't be a bad idea, and we'll see you later, Dolph.
Yeah,
Dolph's gonna put his career on the line against Rude or something.
I think it's definitely heading that way.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Leave it down in the comments down below with any opinions or whatever you have. You can hit me up on Twitter, Real Joe Cronin. You can make sure to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Joe Cronin JCS, and make sure to subscribe to the other YouTube channel where I'll be live from, and we'll be doing other things from Corrupted. That's youtube.com/Corrupted Podcast. And, of course, I've got Shame on News, Final Frontier News, and I will be bringing Final Frontier News to Patreon as well, I believe. We're working on getting some hosts for that. And right now, come check out my bonus video on patreon.com for Starrcade. Don't forget the t-shirts are available too. They're there. And we're going to talk Starrcade in the bonus video. See you guys later. If you missed out on some of these other videos, check them out. They're popping up right now on your screen. Hey, I hear Pepper Pig.